Hi, welcome back to Christine's Home Affairs. Do you remember this room? For those that are fairly new to my channel, this was my old sewing room. For me, it's a little bit too small, and about 18 months ago, I upgraded from this room to the room behind this wall here, and that's one of our spare bedrooms in our house. This room is actually a room that's outside the house. And it's come to that time again where my big sewing room is too small. So guess what we're doing? So my plan is to get my old sewing room and my new sewing room, or my current sewing room, to become my new big sewing room. It'll be a 2-room room. When I moved out of my old room, I had a beautiful view of my fernery, and I really do miss that. The view in the other room is just an old iron fence. Let me take you for a walk around this room, show you what my plans are, and we'll go back into my current sewing room and show you what the plans are there. And in this video, I'm going to show you the progress of how things merge into one. I've just realised I blend into the wall beautifully, don't I? So here is the old room as you walk in through the door. Chris built me lots of bench space way back when I actually did use this as a sewing room. There was a narrow shelf over here as well. I plan to put that shelf back on here, and I do plan on having a few sewing machines on there. I've got my pegboard up here, and right where this picture is here is a brick wall and the entrance to the other sewing room. So we do have a problem with a power point down here. Our electrician's on holidays overseas at the moment, so I'm waiting for him to come back, and next week he'll move that and give me some power points in this room and in the other. So I have some overhead cupboards up here. I have a shelf here with lots of sample swatch fabric, and there's a nice neon light that runs up behind there, so it gives me light on the tabletop over here. I've got about 25 to 30 sewing machines that I want to repair. This room was always going to become my repair room after I'd moved out of here. It's kind of not happened though. This is the view that I used to have from my sewing room. So this is my fernery at the moment. It's a little bit weedy, but that's okay. We'll get out there and give it a clean. So I do miss that view. And then I've got some more sewing machines, and we have a 3D printer here that we haven't yet learnt how to use. I had always wanted to have a 3D printer in here, as well as making this my sewing machine repair room. I've kind of been invaded, and for those that watch Chris's channel will know that he's doing a multi-part series on cleaning out his storage shed. So I asked the question, if he's cleaning out the storage shed, why is all of this stuff in my room? So Chris, if you can answer that, I'd be most grateful. So Chris does know he has to move his stuff out. Let's go check out my sewing room and I'll show you whereabouts we're going to knock out that wall. On the other side of the room, we have a door just over here. I'm not going to close that up permanently because there's no point going to that extra expense, but I do have a shelf unit that I'm going to put behind this door, so that'll give me nice fabric storage. Let me show you where that is at the moment. So this is our table tennis and dance studio. Chris and I are supposed to use it for those purposes, but we kind of have stored our own bits and pieces in here as well. So I'm planning on putting this shelf unit behind that door. That'll give me plenty of fabric storage space, and it'll open up some space for Chris to put a few more TVs and boom boxes. So here we go into my current sewing room. It is a huge mess at the moment. Usually I'll clean up before I start a video. Today you'll get to see how messy I am. I've got a ton of fabric sitting down here that I just don't know what to do with. I have to process it and put it all away. I've started to rehash my pegboard again because I needed the hooks so that I could put my embroidery threads on the peg stand in the other room. This wall here is the wall that goes into my other sewing room. So all the letters and cards that I've been receiving from viewers will end up moving up over the top here. I'd always planned on having a big board over there, so that's where that's going. And then we'll be putting a great big hole in the wall right along here. And that will enable me to be able to just walk from one room to the next and grab whatever bits and pieces I need. And Coco's come to visit as well. Hello, Coco. She's a little bit sad today. Chris has gone away for a few days. Would you like a treat? Yeah, let's go and get one. So that kept Coco happy for all of 3 seconds. So there's the wall that you've all been watching for quite some time as I stand here and chat with you. That's going. I've got an orange room and a yellow room. I'm a little bit over painting the house, so I don't know what I'm going to do about that. Might have to do some candy stripes in the doorway just to blend the two together. So I'm looking forward to that. We've lined up the builder to come and do that. Hopefully it'll only take a few days, which means that I might have to move out of this room for a couple of days and do my sewing elsewhere. It does mean that I actually lose wall space in 2 rooms, but I think the fact that I can actually go from here to the other room without having to walk all the way around out of the house, back around to the other side, it's going to save me a lot of time. It'll actually motivate me to go into that room as well. It doesn't get used, and so the spiders kind of move in. I'm going to have to fumigate. Hopefully the electrician will be here soon, and then the builder can come and do his job and we'll check out the progress. Well, it's a few weeks later and my sewing space has finally been completely finished. The builder left a few days ago. I've rushed out and got some bright yellow and bright orange paint, and I've painted all the bits that I needed to do, and I've managed to put all my bits and pieces where I can fit them. You know what it's like. You go and revamp your entire room, and then you always have these bits and pieces left over that you just shove in a hole somewhere. So I've done that. I won't be showing you those little things. Mind you, I did manage to fill that cubicle that I emptied a few weeks ago. It's a work in progress. I will get on to emptying some of those messy bits, hopefully in this lifetime. Before I take you on the tour of my revamped sewing space, I've had a lot of people in the shop over the past couple of weeks that are YouTube viewers that have been coming in and having a chat with us. It's been really nice getting to know all of the people that have come in. On this side of the camera, you guys see me, you know everything that you know about me, but I know nothing about anybody else other than what they might write in the comments section below the videos. So I learn little tidbits about people whenever they leave comments. But it's really nice when people have made the special trip to Nagambie, come into the shop and said hello. I get to know who they are, what they look like, and put a face to the other side of the comments or to the viewers that have been watching the channel. So that's been really nice. We've had viewers come from all over Victoria, and I had Kerry from Western Australia come over today as well. She's made a special trip, not just for me. She does have family here. I like to think it was for me. But Kerry, thanks so much for coming in, and also everybody else that's been in over the past few weeks. But we are down here in the eastern side, lower eastern side of Victoria, and Kerry is all the way up on the other side of Australia in Western Australia. So it's a long way away. So thank you. It was really nice meeting you today. Anyway, let's go and have a look at my sewing room as it is now, and hopefully for a long time. Let's start by walking through the main entry here. So I still have my island bench right in the middle of the room. I've got lots of drawers and cupboards. I've got the same setup on both sides. So I've used 2 sets of cubicles on each side, which is underneath this fixed board. And down here I keep all of my stabilisers, paper for drafting patterns, and the webbing that I like to use. So all my stabilisers are under there, as well as a whole heap at the shop. I've managed to put away all that fabric I showed you at the beginning of the video, so it's all stuffed into these cubicles here somehow. And on the other side, I've managed to stuff the rest of the fabric in here. Mind you, what was in our table tennis room is still sitting there. So I had an excess of fat quarters down here. I haven't found anywhere to put those yet. So I'm just trying to stuff things in anywhere I can, just to make things a little bit more tidy at the moment. On the windowsill, I have all the things that I like to use often. right behind me because this is my workstation right here. So I'll stand on the other side right here and I can just turn around and grab everything as I need it. Have a look at this side of the room. So my main sewing machine is still over in the corner, right over in the corner this time now. This bench here used to be on this wall over here. I've managed to fit everything into this alcove. If this bedroom had ever been finished, it would have been a closet or a wardrobe along here. And my notice board at the top there is full of the mail that I've received from viewers. And there are also some gifts hanging around the room as well. I do actually use all the gifts that people send me. So my overlocker is here, my heat press is in here. Coco's got a little mat down here, so she's quite comfortable. She has a bed in every room in the house. Sewing machine. And this is where the wall has been knocked out. So I finished all the painting. There was no way I was going to change the colour scheme. I love bright colours in our house. And the next room, this used to be my old sewing room. It was orange and still is. What I've done as I've come down the stair, instead of putting that shelving of fabric that I showed you from our other room, I've decided to use the back of this door to hang all my zips. So I do have hundreds of brightly coloured zips in lots of different sizes. And I also have that number 5 continuous zipper tape that I like to use as well. But this is a perfect spot to have all my zips on display and out of the way. I have a projector here. The projector, one day I'm going to learn how to use it. I actually want to be able to project my PDF patterns onto my cutting mat and then cut them out rather than having to print things out. That's the plan. Whether or not I'll ever have time to do that, I don't know. And this is where my OCD kicks in a little bit. I've got a tool trolley here. I purchased this from a hardware store and I've got everything sorted out in its own little compartments. So I've got bias bindings, zips, zipper pulls, bits and pieces, more bits and pieces. I do keep all the hardware from my sample boards. I've got plans for these. I don't know what the plan is yet, but I do keep all of those bits and pieces, hoping that one day I'll come up with some idea to use them. But this tool trolley's been fantastic for storing everything that I have. So I've got some deeper drawers down the bottom and some extra tools down here. My dressmaker's dummy finally has a place. It's just been sitting in a spare room. I do have a mirror here should I ever have the urge to look at myself. And that urge does not strike me very often. We do have a 3D printer. I've wanted one for a long time. A friend of ours gave us this, and if only we had the time to learn how to use the thing, we'd be making lots of bits and pieces. I'd certainly be making more hooks for my thread stand. Another overlocker in here. I worked on this one some time back. It was really rough when I got it. Works a treat. And another cutting mat in here, smaller one this time. I've got my embroidery machine over here, an ironing station, a nice ledge over here where I can just have my photos. One of my sons, Luke. You can see if you can pick me in that photo. That would have been about 58 years ago. And my son Joseph, and other bits and pieces that I'm storing. What I'm doing now, because a lot of people have been asking me for the things that I use, things like continuous zipper rolls, I'm now selling that on my website, as well as double-sided tape. If you're in Australia, I've managed to find a manufacturer that can provide it to me at a much better cost than what we've been able to find it recently. These are all my embroidery threads and cords and stabilizers, and of course the embroidery machine that I showed you in a video a few months ago. My old vintage Pinnock sewing machine. This is a really beautiful machine. I would like to use it more often, but it's slipping, so I need to work on that, but I just haven't had the space to do that. So this room now is going to be perfect because I was always planning on having this as a room to fix machines. I have a bunch of sewing machines under the counter here. I'll get onto those one day, and then I have twice that many at the shop. I've also reattached this table here, and I'm wanting to be able to have a little workspace of my own where I'm not going to be distracted by the TV. I'm addicted to the TV, and I can sit here and do my editing. And I'm also going to start writing patterns for the projects that I've been working on over the past few years. I've had many people ask for pattern books or written patterns, so I'm going to try to start making up some little booklets. So let me know if that's something that you're interested in, and hopefully I can get onto it. There's a nice print that Chris made for me a long time ago, just with some vintage fashion, and one of the cross stitches that I used to enjoy doing many moons ago. But I'm really happy with how this room's come up, and that I can now use the two together. Have a look what I get back. This used to be the view that I had in my sewing room. I've turned the sprinklers on just so that you can have a look. Chris and I revamped the fernery a couple of weeks ago, so everything's looking really pretty in there at the moment. I don't know if you can see our bird of paradise over in the corner. That's really stunning. And everything's just looking really nice. So I'm very happy to have that view back now. So if we go back into my main sewing area, this is how it looks. This room, the orange room, is a really tiny room. I've just knocked out that doorway. And I step up into my studio. Now, last time I did a walkthrough of this room, people asked about this ceiling mounted stand. This is where I mount my camera when I'm doing the filming. I'll have that overhead and I'll film with the camera facing down right over the top of my table. So it's actually mounted to the ceiling. And yeah, all I have to do is press a button. So there you go. That's my sewing room as it is now. Hopefully I won't need to make any more changes, because I think the next alternative is to take over the whole house. Anyway, I am going to love you and leave you right here with the wall of mail that I've been receiving. If you're up to it, send me a postcard. I'd love to see where you're from. I hope you've enjoyed this video and the update to my sewing room, and I shall catch you next time. Bye for now.